Hi, I'm Dave Barnes.
And I'm John McLaughlin.
And welcome to Dadville.
Dadville is a podcast where we talk about life, love, and the pursuit of awesome dadding.
It's funny thoughts and deep talks.
So please, enjoy your time here in Dadville and enjoy this episode with... Colony House.
Hey guys, it's me, Dave. And I know what you're thinking right now, because I'm thinking it too. I need a late summer / early fall jammy jam, something I can crank in the kitchen when I cook, when I'm doing my karate, my wind sprints, my puppet practice, all the things we all do every day. Well, guess what, guys? My dear friend and co-host John McLaughlin has just released that song. His new song, The Only One, has just come out. Go check it out and stream it wherever you stream music. Johnny McLaughlin. That's
his
actually...
last name's Barnes, his first name's Dave.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah.
Did we just start a musical?
It's like a sitcom intro.
It was. I went musical, you went sitcom. John, I have a favor I need you to do for me. Tell me how your summer's going. You get into a good rhythm?
Oh, this is one of your easiest favors you've ever asked.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I live in polyrhythms.
You do.
Okay, so balancing family and work is not unlike playing 4 against 3. You know what I mean?
Look at you, muso talk. I mean, just talk dirty to me with that, John. One rhythm I like to get into is a daily dose of athletic grain. You see what I did there? You see what I did there?
Dave, I threw in some rhythm there. Look, I wanted better gut health. You know that about me. I wanted better gut health, increased energy, and immune system support.
This was on your Christmas list.
Yeah. So it's old.
Yeah.
Christmas 93. But I also needed a supplement that actually tastes great. Those are all the boxes I want to check.
I'm living into my Christmas list, John, because each morning before I head out on my 6-mile walk / talk / pray / run / cry, I take AG1 and I just feel unstoppable.
In that order.
Yeah.
6 miles?
Yeah.
Was that a typo?
Well, it's 6 kilometers. It may be a half kilometer. I'm not sure if that's right. It actually just says, let me see. No, it's right. 6 miles on the script. So I'm just reading it. I'm reading what they have.
Wait, you
here.
have a script? Tell me how many miles you walk each day.
So anyways, 3 things I want to read off the top of my dome. And these are just off the top of my head, John. Okay. I'm not reading this anymore. I'm looking out the window. AG1 has been a part of millions of mornings since 2010. That's one of the ones I always say. AG1 gives you increased energy and mood support, making it easy to live your best life.
You say that all the time.
What's the third? Oh, yeah. It's 1 scoop of powder mixed with water and a little bit of love. Once a day.
Oh, you added in the little love. You changed it up.
They did, actually. It's in the packet.
People, if you're looking for an easier way to take supplements, and we all are, Athletic Greens is giving you a free, you heard me right, FREE, free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs to places you will go.
How do they make money, John?
It's like they're not even interested in making money.
Well, one way they can make money is if you go to athleticgreens.com/Dadville.
That's right. That's athleticgreens.com/Dadville. Check it out.
Check it out. There was nothing I was less prepared for as a young little Christian guy in the secular space, quote unquote, the mainstream space, than sound guys.
True.
More than any, girls or drugs or well, nah, that's not, whatever. Right. Give me mean sound guys, and you will just watch me
100%.
crumble.
Yeah. But didn't it just play into the story, though? Because you're like, okay, here I am. I wanted the secular world.
Right. They were right.
There's the enemy.
There's right there, man.
Like every Sunday school lesson had his Frank's face. Yeah. To be like, there's gonna be people out there like Frank, and be like, oh, Frank's terrible.
Tear you down.
We just watched Three Amigos. Yeah. Everyone has their Frank. Everyone has their El Guapo. Yeah.
It's just that our El Guapo is the real El Guapo.
Yeah. Dude, that's it.
Maybe the best movie. All right, fun fact about that.
It is.
Not many people know this. Do you know who co-wrote that movie?
Yes.
Co-wrote it?
Screenplay. Tell him.
I'm going to just guess. Only because I is it Randy Newman?
Thank you.
That's a guess? You just randomly guessed
okay,
that?
So the only reason I guess it is because I know he's the voice of the singing bush.
Singing bush, yeah.
So I just
my body goes over to you.
Yeah, but I didn't know he co-wrote the whole screenplay.
Bring to me.
Okay. My guess is this is the singing bush.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that.
Always the singing bush.
I have friends that haven't seen that. You've seen it.
I have.
Yeah. Because there's a couple that you haven't seen.
It's been a long time.
It grieves me. Like, I have physical pain with somebody. Like, I don't know Three Amigos. It's our age. Then I'm like, no.
You got to watch it again soon because it's
gold.
Perfect.
Will,
so old one.
Will
so
was
like the wind.
We were in the studio
Literally 3 days ago.
and we were out in Norman, and we're always every night. We literally revert to the batch pad where it's like we're watching a movie. It couldn't get more excited than just
What are some of the
DoorDashing.
tenets
Why is your
of the
shirt
batch
on?
pad?
Oh, well, we're all in one room. We've been doing this. We've been a band for 10 plus years. Same thing.
No.
Caleb's on the floor on a REI blow up pad. Scott and Will are sharing a
Not even a
Murphy
queen.
bed, and Park's on this terrible couch
Folding
that's
chair.
just like a IKEA the cushions are like as thin as the book.
Is this
And-
like a superstition thing? Like you guys don't need to
we're
do
just-
this anymore. You don't have to live this way.
That's maybe the sweetest thing I've ever.
we
heard.
just-
it always that's just we always roll that. I don't
We're
know.
idiots.
We're idiots.
You love pain.
I guess so.
You love discomfort. What is being in a band other than loving discomfort?
Yeah.
Candidly.
I don't know.
True.
I guess we've also decided that at this point we've definitely shared a bed with each other more than our wives. It's true. It's just the darn truth. Yeah. It is.
What a great stat. It can only be said. Could you imagine?
Think about
Can
it.
you imagine any other profession you said that? Oh, me and Frank? Yeah, no, we've shared a bed much
My
more.
colleague.
We're going to the big accounting convention in Newark next weekend, and I'm sure we'll share a bed again.
You want
Of
to
course,
bunk
it's
up?
in Newark.
We save so much
Yeah.
money.
I'm
wait,
just
would you say-
imagining you being like, sweetie, can you? Park does this thing where he rolls over like this, and I fit right in there. Can you do that?
Yeah.
Do you mind?
Oh,
Can we FaceTime Park right now?
yeah. How do you do that one thing?
Show me, just show me where your legs go. Okay, that's it. That's how it is.
Dude, before I leave the topic, this was the scenario, and we're all in there, and Will's like, I'm like, guys, Three Amigos is on. You're just hoping someone signed into their Netflix before
Oh yeah,
you
yeah,
got there. You're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
We're in.
Yeah.
And Three Amigos was on, and Will was like, "No, dude, not Three. We've seen that movie a million times." And
Yes,
I'm like,
yes.
I just feel like it's the right. Okay, while we try to DoorDash our food, we'll just put on Three
Yeah, yeah.
Amigos interim.
Get something going.
Yeah.
As soon as it comes on, and Will just saw Chevy Chase's face, and
Yeah.
you
I just
done.
started dying laughing.
we ended up watching the whole movie. It's just like
It is so stinking good. It's like I feel this way about Nacho Libre and all the great. Like every 2 minutes there's something you're laughing.
Yes.
It's like they just pace it. I mean, like how he eats a taco where it all falls out before he can. Or when they're laying in the bed and he's like, "What are you gonna do with the money?" That's one of my favorite scenes in the history of cinema. A big place with I'm gonna get a little place for kids, and they're like, "No, we're gonna do that too. We
Yeah.
meant that
Before.
After. Yeah.
What's perfect about you
It's
bringing up
been too
Nacho
long.
Libre is that literally after Three Amigos, the next day we're in the studio and we're like, man, what are we going to watch tonight, guys? And Caleb's like, I feel like the only right call is Nacho
That's
Libre.
it. It is the Mouche Bouche. Three Amigos is the Mouche Bouche to Nacho Libre. It's the gateway drug. Okay, we have to start
it's
this
in
podcast.
Canada.
Pizza. Okay, so as you hear the dulcet tones of the Chapman brothers,
Hello.
Which seriously, I mean, y'all's speaking voices.
it's gorgeous. It's really
Oh,
beautiful.
man.
stop.
Well, we're not going
Seriously.
to stop. We're here to compliment. And so we do a little brag sheet. So buckle up because this is your life. And we've got some fun ones in here, starting with early songs included,
Oh.
Two-Car Garage and Football in the Air.
Yeah, it's been downhill ever since.
It really
that was
has.
actually some of your best stuff. Formed, I didn't know this, high school in 2009.
Yeah.
That is a long time for such young guys.
Yeah.
And that's a long time. Debut album, When I Was Younger, reached number 3 on the Billboard Heat Seekers chart. Lead
Hold on.
single-
What is that?
What's a heat seeker?
Well, it's
No idea.
it's hot songs.
Is that
They're
kind-
songs that are heading toward heat.
Okay.
They're seeking success.
Okay.
Whatever.
That sounds right.
Some would say my whole career has been heat seeking.
Yeah. Dude, these guys are trying hard.
It's not hot. It's heat seeking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They got
Thank
potential. Lead single Silhouettes was the most, this is crazy, was the most downloaded song on SiriusXM Alt Nation. Get in, guys. Second album, On the Lonely, was released in 2017, hit number 6 on the Billboard 200 chart, so you're out of the heat at that point. You've seeked it.
Okay.
You've sought it
It
and
was-
found it.
okay, cool.
And number 7 on the rock chart. That's incredible. Leave What's Lost Behind, released in 2020. The Cannonballers, which has got to be one of my favorite album titles of all time. For real.
you.
That is a killer album title. Their latest album was released in 2023. And is it true that it was inspired by Opryland USA
Absolutely.
theme? No.
100%.
Bro, yeah.
100%.
The Cannonball.
Wabash
The
Cannonball.
Wabash Get in.
Yeah.
Get the heck in. How many times did y'all, we were not going to divert, let's stay on course, but really quick question. How many times did y'all go to Opryland growing up?
All the
My
time.
dad worked at Opryland. He probably talked about that.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's in our blood, dude. I peed my pants on the Wabash Cannonball. I can remember the jeans I was wearing, the jorts.
That's insane.
My dad's percussionist took us, the guy that played the bongos, took us to the theme park, Hardy. Don't know his last name. And I remember, still to this day.
Now he's a huge country singer.
Yeah,
oh my gosh, he was a really young percussionist.
Yeah, peed my pants right next to him.
But was it something as a native Nashvilleian? Was that something y'all were doing like, monthly, bi-weekly? Was it like?
I bet it was monthly.
That's a lot.
I'd say yeah.
That's a lot.
Couple
it
times
was always after church. I feel like.
So
Go to La
as a
Hacienda.
Nashvilleian, that's like, oh yeah, that's something in our rotation of things we do. We go out to Opryland rides. God, that would be so much fun.
But in hindsight, I have to feel like there's a little bit of like dad walking us around and being like, yeah, that's where I played. Like there's a little pride in there.
You see that stage?
That's where
That was me.
There it is.
Yeah.
Oh my God. He's like, let me tell you, son, this is where I cut my teeth here.
If you're lucky.
Yeah, if you're lucky someday. Oh my God. That's a percussionist. Like, listen, I'll still be around if y'all need me by then. The band has appeared twice on Late Night with Seth Meyers and Conan, as well as Today Show, VH1, Morning Buzz, and MTV Live. Various festivals. Y'all have done like literally all the cool guy festivals. Shaky Knees, Austin City Limits, Firefly, Wonder
Once,
West,
though. And
Bonnaroo,
there's something to that.
Lollapalooza. And recently sold out the Ryman. Congrats.
Yeah,
That's massive.
congrats.
This is by far the most fascinating thing in this to me that I didn't know. I didn't know this. Album titles. Is this on purpose? 5 syllables long?
Yes. They're all 5 syllables because Kings of Leon did it.
No.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, go through them.
Did they mean to do it?
Yes,
I
they
think
meant to do it. And then
we were
when
like,
we
cool, man.
we
love
named
them.
our first album When I Was Younger, and we were like, that's 5 syllables. It worked for Kings of Leon. We should just keep this thing going.
Yeah.
I went through. Just because I was like, don't be the guy that reads that, knowing our guy would be like, ha ha ha, I fooled you, and now you look like an idiot. It's crazy. I was like doing that. Oh my God, they really did it.
Yeah, it's real. It's real.
It's,
real.
the little things.
Well, intention is cool. I mean,
Yeah.
like knowing that. That's got to be kind of a headache, though.
A little bit.
Oh, for sure.
But it also. But hold on. But it also.
Hours of
it
us
also,
just like, is that it?
You're. Hey,
nah.
but there's a gift.
But it's so good. But it's 6 syllables.
Yeah. But there's a gift to it because you have this like, oh man, thanks God. Like when you land on 5 syllables, you're like, it's done. That's it.
There's no more choice.
It's like cannonballers, so it can't be cannonballers. The cannonballers. We're in, dude.
Those cannonballers?
Every
Yes,
record
exactly.
from now on is always going to have an article in front of it to get you the number you need. The something.
This ain't gonna work.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. This is 5 syllables long.
Speaking of cannonballers,
That's what we do.
I love the tattoo. Does everyone in the band have that tattoo?
No, so this, it's a young man cannonballing is the tattoo, and then on the other side a goose,
Which makes sense.
Yeah,
of course.
So
Well, when I saw it, I was like, okay, so there's probably a goose on the other side.
Yeah,
And
right,
then-
right.
and
That's
then you
what-
turned over and it
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
I do have the matching. We got the geese.
I was gonna
we
say.
got the goose. I got the goose. We did this at the Ryman the day of the show.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, that's cool.
and the reason the goose is significant
Yeah.
is there's a Mary Oliver poem, Wild Geese.
Oh, yeah.
That is super famous poem, but it was like a guiding light for that Cannonballers for the album. And Scott, our guitarist, brought it to the band a long time ago, and it just kind of like worked its way into a lot of the themes of the songs and stuff. And so to commemorate our debut Ryman headline show, we all got different geese in different formations. So if you put them all together, it's a flying V.
Oh,
You have
my
to.
gosh.
Nice.
So they're our friend. And while
Guess what a V is?
Oh my gosh.
Roman numeral
Oh
5.
my.
Wow.
Thank you for that.
We should end it. I think it's not going to get better than that.
Wow.
We just need to end
That's
that,
big.
the intention there.
That's big.
Okay, so we have to say first, this completes. We've only done this once where we've had father and children.
Wow.
So congrats. That's
Thank you.
we
Yeah.
never. That's new ground for us.
That's cool. That's an honor.
It's the low. We were laughing. It's like the lowest hanging fruit because our thing is called Dadville. You guys are dads. We've had your dad on.
Mm-hmm.
Your dad does what you do. You do what your dad did. So there's a million. Like John and I were laughing. It's like there's so many amazing and fascinating things to us about that. So it's like I was like, the last thing I want to do is turn this into like have the kids on and we talk about dad the whole time. But I think the thing that's so cool about what y'all have done is that you're doing what he did. You know, y'all are close to him still. So it's thankfully it's a great. You know, it's not sitting here lamenting like rock and roll dad or whatever.
Yeah.
But one of the first questions I want to ask is like what was it like growing up just generally in the Chapman house? So just like globally, you know. But then also, and we were laughing like selfishly because this, you know, like John said we were getting ready. He's like, I mean, look, it's 4 really amazing musicians. I mean, when you have this kind of talent together, you really have to. No, but like, so not only we're proud of ourselves here, Dadville.
Yeah.
But you know, not only did you guys grow up in that house and whatever that was like, but also, you know, your dad was this, you know, famous singer songwriter. What was that like? Just that whole thing. What was it like home? What was it like with him? You know,
The like traditional answer to this question is like it felt normal, right? Like it was all we knew and we understood like, well, that's probably not totally normal for dad to go out on stage and there be an arena full of people.
Yeah.
But it was always like really there was not a negative connotation to any of the any of the like dads going on tour other than, oh man, I'm gonna miss dad for a couple weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
So can you remember feeling that as a kid, like you like see bags by the door or whatever, and you're like, I bet he's leaving for a tour.
For sure. Yeah. There was always that moment of like, all right, it's about to happen. He's about to leave. But my dad he did an amazing job when I think back and you start talking about whether you're the best dad or the worst dad in the world, you're going to have dad wounds as a son.
Right,
but like
right.
when you start thinking through those things, like my wound is not an absent father.
Wow.
And which is interesting because he toured all the time, but he just the effort to be home, even for those, you know, I have this kind of prime example of my dad flying home. I was probably 6 years old playing in my first year of soccer, and I hadn't scored a goal all season. My mom had been dragging us all to the Williamson County soccer fields, a million other kids out there, and she hadn't seen me score a goal yet. And of course, my dad is like, I'm coming in town for less than 24 hours just to see my 1 hour soccer, you know, hover game. And and my mom had to go to the bathroom in the middle of the game. My dad's watching. I score my first goal, of course, to the detriment of my mom. But my dad blasts out onto the field, hoists me up on my shoulders. He's running me around, you know. And I just like, even to this day, with my son and my daughter, I think about that as like, I know that was a silly thing, but like, watching them play sports or whatever is like, I'm gonna go out, like, even if it's like, even if someone tackles me, it's like that was such an important moment in my life of feeling like my dad was there, that I don't remember playing a game where my dad wasn't there, and I know there were probably hundreds of them. You know what I mean? I just remember when he was there. So that would be kind of like maybe an example of how it felt as far as like just the presence of my father. And then being proud of him, always thinking he was awesome. And like from the 2-car garage days, which was like, he would let us come out on stage and play football in the air. Which it wasn't a long song. It just went, well, I went outside the other day. Me and my brother wanted to play. The sun was shining up in the sky, so I grabbed the football and threw it high. Chorus, football in the air, football in the air, football in the air, football in the air. when's it gonna come down into my hands? And then repeat.
Is that y'all have a publishing deal yet?
We're not talent level.
Well, we're pretty
so
protective.
Also, football in the air.
Guys,
we're back.
What is happening, you guys? The web that
maybe
you
we
are
did do it
weaving.
first.
We did do it first.
I don't know. It just was. It was always. It had its moments, I'm sure, but like it was really cool. A really cool way to grow up.
And what's the age difference between you guys?
16 months. So
wow.
very close. Yeah, Kay was a little older. But
I mean, do you like? What is your take on that with
Pops?
Yeah.
I feel like it same, and it reached that point too where when we were, I would say 6, 7, 8. Dad was like, "Hey, you want to come on the road?" You know, it was like vacation for us. Like being in a tour bus with the boys.
Is there anything cooler as a kid?
So that was also another special thing is when we got to that point of you want to come out for the weekend, or that was awesome. And then not much later, Dad, when we're 14, 15, we're 14, we have a band called The Following, another interesting band name.
What's crazy is that's only one syllable off of 5.
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly. We didn't think that one through. But anyway, we are freshmen in high school, and my dad comes to us and he's like, "Hey, do you want to play a show as my band?" And he's like, "If I give you the set, you learn the songs." And I'll never forget, we went out to Estes Park.
Yeah.
There's a huge Christian conference thing that happened. And he's like, "It's perfect. It's like a 45-minute set. It's a good energy. I think if you guys can do it, this could be it." And so we our band learned the set just like.
Was this Colony House 1.0 or is this like totally other people?
No, totally other people.
Yeah.
And we just worked and worked and worked. And I remember my dad coming up and being like, "All right, I want to listen, see if you guys pretty much if you've got it or
what is that feeling like?"
We played it and he's like, "You're in." Pretty much.
So when he asked you, do you remember your initial reaction? Were you like, "Yeah, we'll do it," or were you like, "Oh, we can't. We're not ready. We can't do that"?
I think it was pretty. We're in. I'm ready. Let's do this.
I like the stipulation. This is just a cool fun insight into my dad's what he drew inspiration from. But I'd like you to tell Dadville what beat, what rhythm you had to learn even before that to prove yourself as I'm a real drummer.
I love that. I'm so
because my dad was like, "If you can play this, you can play anything."
I'll let you guess what the beat is because it's as classic and famous as it gets.
Is it the Black Crowes beat?
No.
Is it some kind of shuffle? Texas shuffle?
Oh,
dude,
you're just.
Oh, Everybody Wants to Rule the World?
No, but it would have been cooler. But
Randy Newman?
Oh,
sorry, what are we talking about?
Yeah. Was it the Singing Bush? One of his songs?
It was.
No, it was Rosanna.
Oh,
Soda.
that's great.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, that's a nightmare.
Dude, yeah. I mean, but I in that time I was going to school, coming home. I was probably doing some sport after school, and then I'd come home and I'd play drums for 4 hours.
Jeez.
Every day. And at that point it was like, I remember him saying that and being like, "If you got this one, if you can learn this, you're in."
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay.
Well, then I have my assignment.
So, and I probably still didn't even really know it, but it was enough to fool him. And but it was, that time and that energy and the feeling of, all right, we can do this. And having a task to get right, that we thrived under that. So it was just got to learn it, boys.
I can't imagine as a dad. I just think I would evaporate afterwards from joy.
Oh, my gosh.
To do a set with your kids.
Yeah.
And especially because I remember living in Nashville, I kind of knew about y'all even sort of back in the following days. And I remember it being people no, they're good. It wasn't oh, that's
it's
look
cute.
at the little
And I think there was a part of that was you wanted to get past that too, because we had seen that from
extra
friends
motivated
and then and the first we did that show, and then the first tour my dad's band was at the time, I think it was 2007, so I was 15.
Jeez Louise.
I was in, and you were 16. And it was like arenas. It was like
Winter Jam.
Winter Jam,
yes,
like
yes.
2007.
Jeez, those are big shows.
And big kind of at the time. That was like in the glory days of that Winter Jam thing, and it was, arenas. And I remember.
So you guys were the band from
our high school band was the band of that tour.
Jeez Louise.
And I think he had my dad. We had a key.
Scott Sheriff.
Yeah.
But, Scott's awesome.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And so, which was
don't you
just
kind
funny.
of wonder though, like what Scott's thinking?
Oh,
like,
we knew
your
exactly
dad
what
calls-
Scott-
I knew exactly. He would
no.
come. Oh,
Was he
I've got
bad?
some great. Oh, dude.
He was like an uncle in a way, but he was also
and he
like,
wanted the best for us, but he was cutthroat. I mean,
Yeah.
he said,
he's
"Dude,
like Coach.
I've
Yes.
got a great story." He
Coach.
comes up to me. This was the next tour, whatever his dad's next run was, and I'll never forget. This is what he said. He comes up to me after sound check and he goes,
a little context. Scott Sheriff is an incredible
Hey, do you know
musician.
him at all?
He's Carrie Underwood's music director now.
He's really, really good.
He's insane.
Like
and
kind of freak of nature, like pitch and
just
crazy.
ridiculous. And he comes up to me after sound check one day, and I'm just like, oh no, what's he gonna say? What did I do?
Yeah.
And he just goes, well, yeah, it's been feeling good. During the show, if I look at you, and I kind of give you one of these, which people can't see my face, but it's the face of like, whoa, freak out a little bit, like.
Yeah.
Big
I give
eyebrows.
you big eyes, and it's like, man, you're a little ahead of the click. You're kind of pushing. But if I give you one of these where I'm just vibing and like, yeah, but that means we're
feeling
we're right in. And I was like, okay, so does that mean I watch you the whole? Like, think about that. I'm like, so.
Which is there anything
like,
more
so I'm
nerve-wracking
playing-
to say to a drummer
Yes.
than commenting on where he is with the click?
So I'm playing that. I remember that night just being like, just barely looking at Scott.
Every
Are we
time he
vibing?
made a face, you're like, slow way down.
Wait, what does that face mean?
No, I just sneezed.
We didn't cover that face.
Are we vibing right now or no? Like, so I was just like, but I'll never forget. I literally remember where we were in like Syracuse, New York, some whatever. I'll never forget walking off stage after that sound check and being like, oh man, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I have to look at him throughout the show.
So how did
And
that show go?
I think it was fine. I don't remember any like crazy faces.
I just
but-
think, like, I keep thinking about your dad. Because, is there anyone that's, like, sweeter than your dad? He's just,
Right.
like, the sweetest guy.
Yeah.
I can imagine him. And he is he's so happy. He calls Scott. And he's like, Scott, check it out.
Great news.
And he's like, yeah, man. He's like, you got the band test out? He's like, yep. And he's like, great. This is the guys. He's like, check it out. And Scott's like, uh-oh. So the boys are gonna play, and he's like, what boys? Yeah, like I mean the guys, the men.
Boys
he's
and
like, men? He's like, my sons, and you can just cut to Scott sitting like in his living room, just dead quiet, like staring out the window, like, yeah. For a song or what? Like, is that like a? No, they're
This
gonna
is
be
a
the
pre-show VIP kind
they're gonna be the band, and he's like. Yeah, for who?
Dude, so
I mean, just
That's what
like
I mean.
it's so true. My dad's band was always like cream of the
bro,
crop.
it was the dudes. It was the dudes.
I mean, I remember after that Winter Jam thing where
Yeah.
it was like literally our high school band plus Scott Sheriff being the band. Then it kind of morphed into me and Will, and then Justin York was playing guitar.
Yep.
Scott Sheriff was on keys.
Yep.
And I think that was it. But like even Justin
Pearson.
Nitty.
Adam
Nitty.
Good gracious,
Freak
man.
bass player, and then
That's right.
There were a handful, and then obviously Brent Milligan over the
Yeah.
years playing with him, and then.
But it was cool because they didn't just like ignore us and be like, they helped refine the craft.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
sometimes in a way that was uncomfortable, but it was always like
they
Justin
mean it.
York was like, I was just like, this is the coolest guitar player in the world. And he would come over and he was 95% encouraging. And then 5% he would like come over and he'd look at my pedal board, which was probably horrendous.
Yeah.
Probably looked very much like the Guitar Center, like just a bunch of Boss pedals, which is kind of tight now. But
I was gonna say that was amazing.
yeah. And he would just like look down and he would just kind of shake his head and kind of
Yeah,
and I was like, oh gosh, I gotta get it together, man.
But don't you feel though? There's a little bit needed there.
Yeah,
'Cause,
it's
if they
very
hadn't-
important.
I mean,
Well,
we
yeah.
were
Well, I'm thinking as you're saying that, I'm like, actually, what a great thing for the two of you
100%.
to do the same thing. Because I have so much criticism that I'd like to give Dave, but we're not brothers.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And that's hard.
And our collective dad hasn't asked us to be in his band.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
No, but seriously, the two of you being like brothers, I mean, obviously there can be rifts between you two, but it's like you're brothers forever. So you have the freedom. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I would guess like there's probably a lot of freedom there for you to really like sharpen each other at your crafts.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know?
Two to be together, like it's obvious it's you two and then it's a band. And even though you're a band, so I would imagine there's some solace there. Like there's some consolation of like after a show going be like, dude, I just got lit into by, and you're like,
Yeah,
dude,
right,
that's not
right.
why Scott Sheriff was giving me the weirdest face tonight. And you're like,
No,
oh,
totally.
man. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's some sense of like,
No,
you're
for
not
sure.
alone
Yes.
being the one kid that's like trying to make sure you're fitting into this mega ship.
Totally.
And
It's
were you
like-
guys aware of that at the time? Like, if it was just you, it would be a totally different experience to be in that arena, or if it was
100%.
just you, but you got your brother with you.
Yeah.
How aware of you?
I don't think we were super aware of it because, like, again, we said 16 months apart. Will always played up in sports, like growing up. Like we were kind of known as the Chapman brothers. Like, Caleb, Will, we answer to both. Like it's like
I've had
whatever.
so many people come up to me and be like, Caleb, man, how are you feeling, man? You good? And I just go with that. I'm just
Yeah, same.
I never
Same.
stop people. I'm just like, I'm good.
So like even in
And
even
he
Caleb's
is too.
good, man.
Yeah.
Caleb's good.
We're great.
Caleb
we're
is
really
fine.
good.
We're fine.
Weird.
Caleb
Caleb always
is fine.
referred to himself in the third person. Anyways, like that, I still feel like that with the band, where it's like you don't recognize it until those moments happen. You're like, man, I'm glad. I'm glad we're in this together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I had 1 year where I toured with Dad, and Will went back to high school, and
like all those other kids.
and to finish out his senior year playing basketball was kind of the main thing. And I had a ton of friends on the road at that point, and it didn't feel lonely or anything, but it was a little bit of that, like, oh, this is what it'd be like.
Yeah.
And that was interesting because it was my dad and Michael W. Smith, and I was the guitar. We shared a band.
Oh,
and
dang.
so that was another whole refining. They operate so different.
Speed question real quick. What was your favorite Smitty song to play live? Was he in the praise and worship phase, or was he in the old?
This was kind of like both a little bit, like where he was.
I mean,
Like he would dig into, like a story would be like he came up at one point to me, and my dad doesn't wing anything, or at least everything was practiced exactly how you're gonna play it. Smitty's like, hey, can we play Go West Young Man tonight? I'm like, sure, let me go. And I go, listen, you're like Dan Huff's all over that thing. And I'm just like,
ripping.
You go back in, you're like, I can't actually play
So
that.
here's a fun fact about me. I'm 19. And
Yeah, I can't do that. But I honestly, I knew Michael W. Smith was a huge U2 fan, is a huge U2 fan. So I found the most edge-like guitar and like
sort of retrofitted.
dude, I was just like, I'm just gonna win from the appearance. As soon as he walks in, I want to win his like favor, and it worked, dude. He walks in and he's just like, wow, I love that guitar, and I was just like, nailed it.
I don't know why,
Also,
but
does
I
this smell
love
like
that
urine
guitar.
in here? No. Let me, my quick take on Michael W. Smith is that music, his music, the kind of pre-praise and worship is insanely complicated.
Yeah.
Like
It is.
insanely complicated. And I think a lot of people, he to me really is the sort of Billy Joel of the CCM world in that he was a keyboard, he's a keyboard guy. So all of his stuff, it's like when you sit down and actually play through it, it's intense.
Yeah.
It's like key changes, weird mods, like voicings that it would take me a year to learn.
Yeah.
And so I can imagine, going, hey, can we throw up this real quick song back from my 1992 album? And you're like, bro, just real talk. I don't think we can. Just like shoot.
I
Really
gotta be
straight.
honest. No,
That is not happening.
Yeah.
So do y'all do you feel like, I love what you said, and this is one of the big things that I think is encouraging here. It's that you remember more the times he was there than the feeling. So the walk away feeling wasn't like, Daddy was gone. And it was really more like when he was there, we remembered. And to your point, this is something I need to hear so much. It's not even that I tour that much, but I've toured more this year, and every time I leave, I'm playing a million things in my head that's like, Daddy, no,
right.
And they're like, why are you crying and we aren't? But just it's a good thing for me to continue here, which is what y'all said, that it was like, that is what you knew.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's so encouraging to hear that and it not be like, oh, Daddy used to be here all the time.
Yeah.
And now he's just gone all the time.
Yeah.
Well, I had a similar situation. My dad traveled a lot, but I feel like what you guys were describing, like I just remember the times that he was there, which he was there a ton, and I know that he put forth a ton of effort to be there for all these things. But it's not like I remember all the time that he wasn't there, which I think is a indication of just the people that they are as dads. Everything that they did when they were there. Now, years later, that's what you remember.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. My brother-in-law, married to my sister, my older sister, we were in the car one day and we were just talking about some friends that were going through a rough patch, and like just their marriage was falling apart, and it was an artist, and we kind of like rabbit trailed to other artists that just like another marriage falling apart, and he looked at me and he just goes, why even risk it? Like, why would you do this if that's like on the table? And he asked it in a really cool way, not in a like judgmental way, just like he wanted to hear the response, I think. And for me, it was cool to have an easy answer of like, I know it can be done.
Wow.
I know it can be done. I've watched my dad. It's not been just peaches the whole time, but like it's like, I suppose it's any other industry has the same problem,
John and I were talking about this. Did y'all listen? This sounds like insanely circular.
Do you guys listen to our podcast?
So I don't know if you guys, but did y'all listen to the interview with your dad?
Yes.
What did y'all? One, your sister sent potentially the sweetest text I've ever gotten in my life. I could literally cry. She was like, it was the sweetest thing. But I was so curious because I think one of the things I'd love. And I love my dad, and we have a great relationship. We're close. But, it would just be cool to hear him talk. I don't get the experience of hearing him talk about being a dad much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What was that like?
Oh, dude. I was on an airplane listening to it, and it was like, I'm so glad I'm in the window seat, because it was definitely like a it was all tears, man.
Was there anything new? Did you, like...
I don't know.
I think I was driving. You were flying probably to the show. I feel like I was in the van with Park and maybe one other dude. And I was like, I just saw that it come out. And so we were driving down. So, but same. I mean, I was just like, it was amazing to listen to, because you don't get the chance to listen to your dad talk about that stuff a lot. And in the light that it was done, and the way that you guys obviously did it and honored the story and his life and legacy. It was, it was amazing. I was blown away, and hearing him be able to share it from that side of it.
Yeah.
It was incredible. And
how do you think we did? No.
You're fine. I did want to ask,
fine.
when you guys were growing up and you're in high school and you're in your dad's band and you're going on tour and you obviously have this, like, music is such a tie between the three of you. Did you have any mind to, at the time, sort of balancing the relationship with your mom and like, we need to make sure that we're spending time with her, or did it just come naturally?
Man, I think my mom was such a trooper, and like in hindsight, what she provided for us, just like keeping us busy, not in like a like busy to be busy, but like I don't think it was to distract us from dad being on the road or anything. It was just like we were always playing some kind of sport, and she was always down. Like it was like, you want to try hockey? Sure, but let's put on the pads.
Wow.
You want to try soccer? You want to try? It was there was never, and I think that was a really, again, in hindsight, knowing now as a dad, and putting a kid into Little League baseball is like, that's hard. Having two boys that are in 3-4 sports at a time, plus 3 little sisters, an older sister, like balancing all that and feeling like, man, we got so much attention and like we were able to do so much, especially with half of her team on the road a lot.
Yeah.
I would say like mom, again, like was such a gift in that season and is a big reason why the family is still together. As I grew up, me and mom started butting heads a ton, like going into high school. I am a lot like my dad. And so like becoming a man and like, I think a lot of those like, you know, even the marital frustrations that I'm not privy to start going like, you.
Yeah. Well, I know you. You're just like him.
Yeah. And so there was like a really intense season in high school with me and my mom.
Wow.
That like we made it through. And fortunately, like there's no, you know, we're able to have 4th of July last night and have a beautiful.
Yeah.
And so again, without going into the nitty gritty, it was beautiful and hard, and she was honestly the captain of the ship for so long, and did an amazing
So one
job
thing
for us.
I love, and it's so fun having both y'all here because we've never done this before, but like something that fascinates me so much is how the same kids can have such a different experience with parents. Do y'all? I mean, and I'm not saying they have to be different. That's not. I don't mean to imply that, but like, do y'all have that? I mean, because y'all are. I mean, 16 months is not that far.
Yeah.
But like, would y'all have moments where you're, you know, flying, driving to the gig or sitting backstage or whatever, just hanging out, where something will come up and you're like, oh, that's not how I felt? Or
I think a little bit. Yeah. I think we had a different experience with mom for sure.
Oh, because the personality.
Yeah. I don't know. What are you?
I mean, I'm definitely more like mom than Caleb is, and it felt like I was able, because I was the younger one. I was able to kind of escape from when
sort
they
of
were in it,
read the road and kind of,
you know, just peace out a little bit, or be like, and kind of get away with like not getting stuck in that. But also, it just felt like in sports wise, like Caleb at that time in high school, Caleb was kind of like deciding to kind of buckle down and kind of put his head down on the songwriting thing and do that. And so I was kind of more active in the sports thing, and my mom loved coming and watching me play. And there was that,
so that was
that energy.
For y'all.
Her parents, my mom's parents, just diehard college basketball fans, any kind of basketball. So then when I was playing in high school, it was just like,
they were in.
Oh,
we know this.
Always
world.
Down, always, you know. So I think
we definitely had a different experience with our grandparents,
for sure.
Yeah, they love me, just not as much as we.
Well, so what I think, it is something I think we kind of can't talk about this enough on this podcast. This dynamic, because it's true. It's like every kid with the same parents, with the same grandparents.
Yeah.
It's going to be different experiences,
100%.
and especially as you go down birth order, because like, you know, with your sister, that's like all the energy is, and then by the time they get to you, it's a little different, you know. It's like, and with every kid, it's just different. It's like, you know, they've learned things, y'all have learned things. There's also some like, hey, don't do this. And you're like, okay, cool. Like, that's not we don't say that to mom.
Yeah.
Or, you know. So because I think what can happen if you're not careful is like, you know, as a sibling, I can assume like, we're good with that. We're down with that. And then like my brother would be like, I don't really know. I don't love that. Or you're like, I hate that. And like, dude, that was my favorite thing. And you're like, wow. You know. And so I think there has to be space made for being okay with, you know, like you're like, man, me and mom had a rough. And it's like, I get that. Instead of like, she's the best.
Yeah.
Or like,
yeah.
Mom's the worst.
Right,
you know, like,
right.
But just sort of holding. And I think as a parent, really acknowledging that dynamic too, because there's no doubt the kid that's like you in your children is wonderful because you can speak a very similar language. Also, you're staring at yourself and all the imperfections or whatever. And so it can also be the kid you have the hardest time with.
Totally.
You know,
Yeah.
And I think you have to have grace for that, and knowing that I mean, I had the longest conversation with a friend of mine on the road last weekend about this. Like, you know, as a parent, the best we can do is actually being intentional and pay attention to each of our kids. And I think for a long time in parenting, decades ago, there was this idea that, like, especially in Christendom, sadly, there was this idea that, like, here's the grid you lay over your kids.
Yeah.
Kids.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if that was focused on the family, whatever, it was just like, hey, this is discipline for your family.
Yeah,
and it's
totally.
like, well, that works great with this one, man. He responds really well to that.
Totally.
This one, it's a total miss.
Totally.
And then it was like, well, they're just the black sheep.
Right.
And it was like, no. They're just a different kid. You know, like
totally.
you have to. And so it takes a lot more energy.
100%.
But that is the truth. And once you acknowledge that, I think when there's so much more grace, and it's like I've just seen so many families that are like kind of our collective ages. I talked to my friends and like it was just like so hard because our parents were like, this was the way our family worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it worked great with two of the three of us, but for me it didn't.
Yeah.
You know,
Totally.
and it's just reminded me with mine, and it sounds like y'all were able to navigate, was like, oh man, I need to be careful to not sort of go like, hey, fall in line.
Yeah, totally.
You know?
I always, when we have friends having their first kid, my thing is like, read the books, do whatever helps you feel prepared, but just know
Yeah.
that's a custom-made baby.
It is, man.
And like you're
is.
like, there's no book written on that kid.
Yeah.
And so those are good things to have in the arsenal, you know, in the tool belt. But give yourself grace and give that kid grace because that book hadn't been written yet.
That's,
you know?
dude, what a beautiful way to say that.
And
did you guys read the books? Did your wives read the books? Where were you on prep?
I didn't read the books.
Will's
I'm not a big book
Will
guy.
got a Q&A the other day on Instagram, and it was like favorite book, and I was going through it. And dude, remember those I Spy books as kids? Oh my god, that was his answer, and I was like, it's a perfect answer. It's literally so
Just
that.
where can I find? Where's the clue?
Dude, this book
No
rips,
words,
dude,
I'm
there's
in.
no words.
That is amazing.
They
What's the one
transcend words.
book with no words?
I did not. I'm trying to think. I don't think my wife is a big like read the books, whether it was through pregnancy or having kids. I'm dabble, just like kind of tap in and out. But
Which I think is always hilarious. My wife is similar. Like she had the stack of books, and I don't think she put this on me, but like if the stack of books is there and we're about to have a baby, there's an implied like, so you should. I'm done with this one. You should grab it. And I was kind of like, I don't really want to read that.
yeah,
one. You know?
that's a literal. Let's get on the same page.
Yeah,
situation.
Literally.
Yeah.
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 That is
Yeah.
exactly what that means.
That was amazing.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, I felt like you were gonna.
Dude, you
gonna say
scared me.
something else?
No, you scared me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I just wanted to see. Can you close those blinds?
Oh, John, you know that I can't. You see, around Dadville HQ, we use knock-around sunglasses to help keep the sun out. So I'm not closing the blinds. We just use the sunglasses.
I see that, but the blinds are like
Look,
literally
look, look,
right
look,
there.
look, look. Just put these on. Yep. See? See? So we're saving so much money.
Those are nice. All right,
Yeah.
let's get on with today's sponsor, Knockaround.
Okay. Knockaround is the original OG affordable sunglasses company offering quality shades that won't break the bank.
You see, I never want to play.
Yes.
Okay. That
No, you can say it. Just say it.
it just seems a little aggressive.
No, you're right. You're right. Okay, especially for a fair and a pair. It's a fair pair, John. That's what Knockaround should be giving us. Okay, for a pair of incredible, high quality
Okay,
sunglasses.
so tell me what price won't break the bank.
This is easy. This is actually in textbooks. Okay, Knockaround sunglasses start at $28.
No.
That officially is a non-breakable bank price. And get this, come in 15. Ask me how many I just said.
Well, you said 15, but I don't believe that. That's insane.
No, I'm gonna say it
15?
again. 15 different frame styles, a ton of different color combinations, and just a good vibe.
So, I could wear a different frame style for every time I mow the lawn this summer.
Yep.
That's amazing. Plus, they're offered with both standard UV 400 protection and polarized lenses. Did
John,
you know that?
a decade ago, I'd pay $5,000 for polarized sunglasses. I don't remember
did.
I know, and they did, and not now. Now you just
not
pay
anymore.
$28 for those puppies. I just got a pair. True talk, real talk, and I wear them so much it makes my family uncomfortable. Truly, they never see my retinas again, and that's kind of what I want. You know.
So just head over to knockaround.com and use the promo code DADVILLE15 for 15% off your first order.
That's knockaround.com and use the code DADVILLE15 for 15% off. Save the retinas, John.
Save the retinas.
So with Colony House, there's this idea that, this is one of the things that I think is so fun and fascinating about y'all. I mean, you really are carrying on the family business, which is crazy. I mean, if you think about bands that have come from parents who did music, I mean, it is so small, especially that really have success.
Yeah.
Like, as y'all have done that, I mean, is there stuff that y'all were able, I mean, this feels like a dumb question, but especially knowing, because I had forgotten that y'all were on the road that long with your dad. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, was that something, as y'all started to do it, that you felt like, we kind of feel like, we're getting into here? And then even more so, how has that affected, like, your kids? Like, as y'all were front row with your childhood, to see your dad and your mom navigate that, see your siblings navigate that, how has that affected not just what y'all are doing, but how you think about y'all's families?
Again, like it does feel normal in a way. Like my wife I met, I don't remember meeting, and we went to the same school since kindergarten. And so, like, even learning, we started dating in high school, learning how to communicate while being on the road in high school, which is funny to talk about.
That
a
is
high school
crazy to think about.
Relationship having issues with communicating because one person's on the road and the other one's not. Like, I feel like I watched my dad, like, go to the back lounge and call mom and be really intentional about, like, checking back in, and even seeing those things, and not even being taught those things, but just seeing them. And then when I get, my girlfriend is saying, like, I feel like you just, like, don't want to talk to me. And it's like, I'm, like, skateboarding around an arena on the phone. And I'm like, no, I don't want to talk to you.
Just did a killer ollie. Go ahead.
But, like, I mean, that's a real memory, is, like, literally skateboarding in an arena while people are loading out, talking to my now wife, who's crying because she feels like we're not connecting. Yeah. And, like, even having those, like, me having to be like, dang, take a step back. I have a really cool, like, syllabus on, like,
that's
how to
maybe
figure this out, and having a place to go talk with my dad, where, like, if you're going into the family business and you're doing construction, I'm guessing there's a lot of things where it's like, hey, when this issue arrives, I would love to be able to have a resource to be like, what do I do? I don't know. And those are the, outside of the, like, how do you keep a crowd entertained for 45 minutes or an hour and 45 minutes? How do you keep your family together? How do you keep a good relationship with your girlfriend or whoever? Like, that's where it feels normal, but when you're able to have perspective and look back on those, like, what a gift we were given.
I mean, it's amazing.
Do you feel the because with my experience, my kids are growing up with a totally different, like, schedule than what I grew up, where my dad has more of a traditional kind of, and that freaked me out for the longest time, because I just felt like this is not the roadmap. I can't compare. But with you guys, I feel like there would be a lot of benefit to it, like you're describing, but also, like, any time where you did go right when, like, your childhood went left, that would maybe magnify the importance of it, maybe. You know what I mean?
Man, I mean, I feel like now, thinking on the dad side of things with my kids, I don't know what the example of, like, where the road may have gone kind of different. Well, here's one. My mom was at home with us. My wife works a full-time job. And so even, like, understanding that when I go out on the road, my wife's still doing her thing, putting in her hours, and we're figuring out, like, these kids are, fortunately, my kids one day get to go to my parents' house. The next day they're going to her parents' house.
I love that.
And then we've got our neighbors, like, we split a nanny with our neighbors, like, and they watch all of our kids together. So it's like we have the best setup for a, like,
that's amazing,
inconvenient situation. But that's a different roadmap. Like, my mom was home and she was busy and working as hard as anyone working in an office, but it was just different, and I think those are things that play in your head of, like, are my kids being, for lack of better words, like, fed the way I want them, and,
for sure.
It's a nice answer to that or like we can rest easy.
Yeah,
like,
'cause
it's all in the family, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, and also just like continuing to like give ourselves grace. Like our band, me and Will have fought it out our whole lives, but there were really important moments growing up where in the early days in high school, we would just be like, literally throwing punches, and it would like end, and it's like, this is not worth it. If this is going to be our relationship because we're playing music together, then we will not do this. Let's not do this. And we were able, with a lot of practice and a lot of time, kind of overcome that hump. And then as we brought in new guys, the first conversation we have with someone joining the band is, as soon as it stops making sense for you or your family, get out of here.
Wow.
And
that's amazing.
Because, we've all seen how detrimental it can be.
Yeah.
So it's like, let's just like get that out of the way. Like if it stops making sense, everyone else will be okay. Leave and go take care of what you need to take care of.
That's a great way to think about that.
But I think we've seen, again, I have memories of my dad. And again, being in a band is so different than being a solo artist. But like seeing him on the phone with his band guys that are going through a tough time and like leaning in and being like, you need to get off the road and go take care of your family, you know? And like, that's a cool map to be able to follow and put it, even though it's a different context, put it into play and into practice with not only our band, but like the families that are represented by our band.
That's amazing to hear. And again, just the wisdom. I love that you said that. Like, and they say this so much, and forgive me because it's so trite, but it's true. But how much, as a parent, your kids are, it's caught, not taught, that idea.
Yeah.
Like with you seeing your dad. You know, and the other thing too that we talk about this a lot, but I think it's something really unique to what we all do is, you know, when we're home, you are accessible. I love the way you said like just scheduling. It's like my kids get a lot of me.
Yeah.
Especially in the summer right now, like
for sure.
Yes.
We are around each other all the time.
Yeah.
And so you realize that, you know, it's like on those moments where you're like, okay, we have this unconventional job and our schedule where it's like, yeah, but man,
Totally.
you know, you are home, like all caps home, you know,
Totally.
And so, you know, it for any struggle in that world, or you really realize like, man, my kids may get more of me than dads who have 9 to 5.
Absolutely.
Oh, totally.
You know, and just the access to, which I think as a kid is such an important thing, that they feel like, hey, yeah. I'm like, oh, geez, you're right.
Yeah.
Were you standing in the doorway all the time?
Yeah.
Which can be tricky because, you know, I have a little writer's room in my backyard, and I have this like it's like an aspirational goal as a dad that I'm like, I want them to be talking to their like college roommates on orientation week and be like, yeah, my dad was a musician. But the door was always open, and we could always go in there and hang, and he would always stop. And the reality is, when that door opens, and I'm, you know, I'm just like, okay, sweetie, don't touch that. Don't touch that. Hang on.
Dad,
hang
can
on.
I show you what I learned on piano day? You can't. You
Okay.
can later. Later is
I
a
was
great
just-
time for that.
What are you doing later, Livy? You know,
So true.
it's tough. It's tough.
Did you? You know, this is random, but I want to ask this. Was there a sense when y'all were growing up that like you kind of walked around with your chest out a little bit, kind of like, you know, when you're at school, or were your kids kind of like, your kids, listen to me, Freudian slip, your friends,
Yeah.
you know, especially in your younger days when that's still kind of novel.
Dude.
Was there a sense of like, I don't know if y'all know what I did this weekend, but I was at Red Rocks, and that's in Colorado.
This is
Where
a
there are
great
mountains.
topic to go in on. Yes. So like we were pretty well equipped with like my dad is a very humble person.
Yeah.
And so when he's like there's only one person that can be like, I was having this conversation with my dad yesterday about his 50th number one,
Jeez.
and how like we're talking about the next single that's going to radio, and he's like, I don't need a 51st number one. And he's saying it like the most humble way. I'm like, you can't be humble saying this. You're trying to be, but you can't.
What number is it again, guys? I'm literally.
And he's asking us about how our radio campaign's going to just try to get to. We're top 20. Just hoping to get there to just one. Anyway, but so growing up, there was this
That's amazing.
How long can we keep the secret, especially when it was camp? Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Kanakuk. We were Kanakukers. And
I mean, that had to spread like wildfire.
And that's when it was a bummer because we were like, we just want to be another camper.
Yeah.
And for real. And we'd go in and we wouldn't tell. And I know the staff would know. And but there was always these things where you're like, this is kind of tight being Steven Curtis Chapman. because it would be it'd be time for flat on back. And you're like, which is just nap time. And
then yoga.
Yeah.
And then
a counselor would walk in and be like, hey, Caleb, can I see you on the porch real quick? And he'd bring you out there and he's like, you want to go play guitar? And we'd go and I'd sit there as 8-year-old playing guitar and he's like,
gosh.
man, that's so cool.
You
It's
just like your dad.
I mean, it sounds ridiculous.
Of your dad.
But in hindsight, those kids were kids being counselors and they were as fascinated. But as soon as I have this one memory of being in the worst cabin ever. I was like, who picked out these kids? These kids suck. Terrible. And I remember just being like, this is insane. And I was just the loser of the cabin because I was the rule follower. It was just guys, we should probably listen to our counsel. Just trying to make
ourselves tattoos at night.
I'm just trying to make it through these 2 weeks, man. Can we just take it easy? And dude, as soon as word got out, about a week in, this one kid comes over, he's like, is your dad really Steven Curtis Chapman? And
you just did that voice so you were trying to let out as little humility as you can.
And yeah, that's my dad. Guys, it's true. His dad is. Everything changed, dude. I became.
Let's all follow the rules now.
Guys,
rules are cool.
It was this is our guy. Doing it. This is our guy. His dad is ultimately our guy, and then everything got better. So. There were times where it played in your favor.
I was just thinking, I was laughing, thinking if I had been in that situation, how I would have let it slip on my own. Been yeah, my dad's on tour. Shoot, I'm sorry, guys. I didn't mean to say that.
Dude, my dad's on tour. I mean,
I'm so sorry.
Stop on tour.
Sometimes we just do things for the sake of the call. Oh, shoot, that's my dad's song.
Man.
You open your bag and you're
and then
one of my dad's Grammys fell in my bag. Oh.
How'd that get in there?
Are there any shelves in here?
Yeah. Dude, Will, please tell the story. So when we were, I'll prompt you, but when we were just about to graduate high school, Casting Crowns.
Oh yeah.
My dad had taken them out on their first tour, and they're like, we want to pay it forward. We want to take your boys out on tour. And so it was just the two of us. This was before the Colony House days or anything. And it was this 15-minute lights up arena set.
Oh, God.
It was, they're really, the nicest people in the world.
Of course.
That, I think we were paid $50 for volunteering to help with merch. That's its own podcast, dude. Its own.
What a sentence.
Yeah. First up, last to go to sleep.
When you say taking care of merch, I immediately have hives.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but something they would do on that tour is we were part of the artist group.
Dude.
Before Casting Crowns are the most benevolent people to their fans, and so they do this VIP meet and greet before their shows with 200 plus people.
Holy cow.
They put them in a big circle, and then they just go around and shake everyone's hands. But they wanted us to be the first band, and then the next
immediately was just a radar. I was just like,
Will's
no,
Caleb, do I have to do that?
No one knows. No,
we don't.
He's
no
like,
one
Caleb,
knows.
can you just do it twice? And everyone will think it's me.
We're called at this point. We're called
Caleb is fine.
We're called Caleb.
So I was like, you got it.
Not Caleb Chapman.
I remember that. I remember that.
Just Caleb. And so Will's like, do I have to go in there? And I was like, please don't make me do this by myself. And
So it was Casting Crowns, Cutlass, right?
yes.
Cutlass. And
Caleb, wow, the consonants are all
Yeah. And 10th Avenue North.
they did like part of it, yeah. And so we roll in, and the first day, it like for a week, you know, it was a long tour. It's just terrible. I mean, so awkward. We walk in, and they're like, "Here's Caleb." They kind of introduce you.
They give you, they
Like,
introduce you.
like
This
a
is
hype,
the opening,
yeah,
but
yeah,
it's
yeah.
not. This is the touring party. This is, and the first band. Please give a round of applause for Caleb.
Which is
my
also funny because then the two of you walk in
And
people
we
are
walk
like,
in,
Well,
yeah.
which?
And
who
we're-
is
that's
one
why
of-
I'm
are they
like-
both Caleb?
And the
Is
whole
that
time I'm
gay?
just
And
like,
then
why
that's
am I here?
there?
They don't get it. It's just it's why, what am I doing? And then
Then we
it kind of goes on
meet
for
200
we meet
people.
200 people that are just like, cool, and they're already looking past us at
Yeah, they're
Cutlass, you
shaking
know,
their
and they're like,
Oh, I feel like I know where the story's
yeah,
going.
it's perfect. And then about a week in, so I don't know if it
We
was
go-
it was
we
kind of
went
our
up to
idea, and we were like, hey guys,
It was Tom. Tom was the assistant tour manager.
what you're doing. The lean in.
just hey guys, you know, we could use this the SEC name, you know, in our advantage here. And so, what if, you know, you guys just threw out Sons of Steven Curtis Chapman?
There's Kings of Leon. We're going to change our name to Sons of
So
Chapman.
it was literally, hi, it's Caleb, Sons of Steven Curtis Chapman, and I tell you what, man,
Place erupted.
all the
man.
eye
It was-
contact. you
They
can
they
get.
left after y'all.
Instantly.
They didn't even stay for Casting Crown.
instantly changed in the energy, and we just would walk in there and just
Yeah, hello, that's our
People
town.
like getting y'all's hair.
Yeah, dude.
Thank you so much.
But that was one of those few times where you're just like, you have to lean in and you have to just accept it and just
I mean,
love
there's
it. You know, like
there's.
it changed the game.
I know
Like,
y'all's kids are still young. Well, you may actually be in that space, but there is nothing. As a parent, I mean, I'm coming in hot, but I'm going to stay there. I'm heat seeking technically.
number 3.
Yeah.
Number three with a bullet.
Not number 1, number 3.
When Ben, my oldest, who's 11 now, there's been a couple of times where he's like, we'll be in a moment and he's kind of flexing, like it's at a show or I feel like I'm 900 feet tall.
Yeah, dude.
And I mean, these are young kids. It's not even like a teenager.
Yeah.
But I'm like, yeah. Yeah, it's usually who I know, which is even sadder. It's not me. He'll be like, no, he knows those guys. I'm like, I do know those guys. I'm like, Dave, what does your life come to? Like, it's not even they're proud of me. They're just like, Dad knows really cool people. And I'm like, I kind of have some cool stuff too. But I mean, I do know cool people. But I mean, it's like, it's embarrassing how much I'll feel that. Mm-hmm. And you know, they're kind of like, but that pride and sort of knowing and how they're, you know, I'm like, oh
yeah.
I'm not too old for that.
Yep.
You know, it
Dude.
still feels good.
Totally.
I can't. And because how old are y'all's kids?
I've got an 8-year-old and 8-year-old boy and 5-year-old daughter.
Okay.
And just a 5-year-old daughter.
Okay. Yeah, because
That's cool that you guys have
Yeah,
daughters
they're best
the
friends,
same
too.
age.
Pretty
That's
much.
amazing.
Cousin-
How far do y'all live apart?
10 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
We used to live like 2-minute walk from each other, and then he bought some property, and I'm in Cottonwood, which is been awesome.
Up to
So,
no good.
Yeah.
I know that. I know
that's
that's
for
fine.
No good.
Because y'all were both there.
We were in Fieldstone.
Yeah, together.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
That's what
and
it was.
then I moved out kind of closer to where my parents are, and he moved to Conway.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we wrap the whole thing, one thing we do love to ask, and I'm always fascinated, is when you think about being dads, what is the thing you think is the hardest? And then, like, what have y'all found to be the thing that you like the most?
Man, good question.
Maybe cliche, but I'd say the first thing that popped to my mind as far as the hardest thing is that idea, like where we're at in our lives now, talking about our dads, is going, where are my blind spots? Like, just wondering, like, I know there's blind spots. I know there's going to be a 30-year-old Noble, my son, going like, yeah, my dad was awesome, but, and I'm like, what is that? What is that thing?
Yeah.
And that kind of unknown of like, I suppose just like being hard on yourself, of just like wondering where you're like letting your kid down without them even maybe knowing it, and without you knowing it. I think that can like, those are we'll call them the like midnight hour van rides where you're just like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I don't know, that I feel like that on top of watching your kids get hurt, on whatever even if it's just a firework stinging them, like watching them get hurt and not understand why is like brutal. Like it hurts to think about. I know it's silly maybe to say like, but that I feel like maybe embodies a lot of things of like watching them like come home from school, like Noble's school program, and he had a line in it, and he's been working on his R's, and he was so sad that he felt like he didn't really get his R's good, and just watching that like him feel like he didn't do a good job, and he was like, "You did amazing. Yeah, you couldn't have done better." Yeah, and he was like, "I could have." So like
it just like highlights the powerlessness that we have. Because as parents, it's like you have this dichotomy of like, it feels like it's overwhelming because you have so much power. Yeah. And at the same time, you have all these incidences that magnify that you kind of have no power. Yeah. Like you can't protect him. Like our oldest just did, well, both of them did this musical at school, but our oldest had like the lead role, and she's so sensitive. And so like leading up, they're rehearsing for months. I mean, Amy and I are just like, we are going to die if this doesn't go well, because she is going like, it could be one bad comment. She could crush it. Like you're saying, like your kid, Noble did a great job, but like if one kid was like, I don't know, I didn't like your outfit or whatever, you know. So that first night, Amy and I are just like holding hands, like sweating, shaking.
It's that video. Have you seen of the parents of the gymnasts in the Olympics?
Yes, dude.
It's that. So it's the two of. It's the funniest thing. It's just a guy like got a still screen shot. Yeah. No, it's just and they are, and they're both leaning back, and their hands
crazy.
But it's that feeling.
Like IBS all day.
Well, and you're probably mimicking her words with.
Yes, I've run all these lines with her. Oh my gosh, it's so nerve wracking. It's so nerve wracking. So yeah, I don't think that's to overstate it. I think it's like you can't overstate how impactful that is as a parent to see your kids getting hurt.
Yeah. And then the best thing is like, especially in our industry of like performing for people and hoping they think we did a good job. I always like, something I find really fascinating about art in general, but artists is like, so no doubt we're the most insecure people in the room we walk into. That I feel like that's pretty much like a given. And
why is that so true?
And what's so funny to me is we get up on stage and not only do we perform, but we open up our diaries to the deepest, darkest, or greatest moments of our lives, and then we read from them.
It's all these
and to all these people, and then we don't just close the book and walk off stage. We say, now grade me. Now tell me if you liked my thoughts on things. Tell me if I was good enough. Tell me if I was creative enough. Tell me if, and then like grade me. And it's like, that's a brutal thing to put an insecure artist through, and you're doing it to yourself. Yeah. So those are the things we're dealing with in our hearts and our minds as creatives of any sort. And the best thing in the world is going home and laying in bed and your son being like, Dad, I just got to a new level in Zelda, and like I got a horse, and I named it Mountain, and
a horse. Please call a horse named
Mountain. Yeah.
Done.
Let's go. That'll be the 5th LP. Yeah. But he's like, isn't that so cool? Like that's so cool. And that is what I am to them. It's like, I did this, and isn't that the best thing ever? Or obviously it definitely hits hard when they like they have their little Apple Music playlist, and it's like calling out, bro, Mario theme song, calling out. And then it's like
peaches.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's like, just eradicating any kind of like nonsense that is you're performing
that's so
for your kids.
Isn't that we laugh about this because my kids, are still like that too. They're still young enough that they want to, like, if we get in the car, 1 out of 5 times they're like, Dad, play some of your music.
Yeah.
And like if I'm working on a record, especially my oldest, he's like, what did you work on today?
That's
it's
awesome.
like
that's the best.
/ they're getting old enough where he's like, I'm like, okay, be gentle. Yeah. Pull that punch. Pull that punch.
Yeah.
But it is. I mean, it's just it melts me.
Yeah.
That feeling. I love how you put. I've never thought about the juxtaposition of that. It's like we do this thing out in front of people.
Yeah.
That's so you're just wide open.
Yeah.
Then you come home and your kids like that, but they're also like, you're the best.
Yeah.
Thank you. I feel like I'm pretty great too. Tell Cleveland that they were so.
Dude, it's true.
That's amazing.
Will, what about you?
Man, I feel like the worst. Obviously, agree with a lot of what Caleb said, but for me, I think, and it could be a whole other podcast, but with past grief and things of just bringing up anxiety of leaving, and I'm kind of in a current season of that, like where my daughter is, she's 5, and she's a lot more aware of me going now. I feel like it was interesting because we had our daughter, and it was like first year or two we were on the road hard, and then COVID happened. And so it's like we weren't on the road in those like very like formative years, and then now we're back at a time where she's like, oh, you've been home a lot. And so it's been processing that, but also just like me processing things that I'm dealing with, of anxiety of leaving, and then thinking something could happen at any moment, or traveling's been harder for me. And so I think that right now, if I'm going current, like worst part about it is like this feeling of the unknown of, are they okay, like, because I'm gone all the time, know, and or so that's a tricky one to navigate currently, of because I just you want to make sure your family's good, and your daughter's okay, and your wife's okay, and everything's good, and being gone or traveling or getting on planes, and thoughts running through your head nonstop. That's probably the worst part for me at this place. Best being a lot of the same, where my wife is a songwriter, Jillian,
she's so good. She's so good.
I think the best thing is that me and my wife both, like, we work on music all the time together, and our daughter is constantly surrounded by, really, my wife is constantly feeding into Faye, our daughter, and just telling her and just re-encouraging her and all these amazing things, and the way she does it, the only way she can do it, and singing, writing these songs about her. And that's all our daughter wants to listen to. It's just like that truth, being fed into her. So that's, for me, it's like the best to just come home or be working on something. She's like watching a show, and me and Jill are up in our little studio writing, recording, then she'll kind of run up there and just start dancing, and like, so it's amazing. It's incredible that we both get to do it, and both have that kind of, talking about earlier, the schedules of what we get to do and how we are constantly around, and be with our daughter all the time. It's just, it's incredible. And so I think that's the best thing, is to watch, for me, watching really my wife, the way she is a mom to our daughter, and the way that they interact with each other is just incredible. And
it
so
takes,
it's
an understatement, but it takes such a unique spouse.
The best,
and we only know our wives to do what they do, and I forget touring, but I think just what our industry is, the way you said it perfectly, the way our brains work, and the unique insecurity, probably not unique, but the things that we are dealing with, it takes a really interesting, and again, in our case, woman, to be, to really get that and to navigate, and not, I'm so thankful that. And I'm sure it's the same with y'all's wives, because I know all of them. It's like that's never a weapon against me.
Right.
It's never turned on me where it's like, well, if you didn't do, that's just not, it's never a conversation.
Yeah.
That's just, she's so thankful I do it, but it takes really special people to do that, to really understand and to push out. One of the most transformative conversations I had in my marriage is I was toast. It was 2009 or 10. And I was like, I had been on the road more than I've ever been. It was 4 kids, and 8 and I were on a walk, and I was like, I think I'm done. And she was like, what are you talking about? She's like, this is what you do. It's what you love to do. Yeah. You just need a break. And I was like, boy, I need to, but just totally. That could have been her moment to be like, God, be great.
Yeah.
It's what thinking about kids.
Yes.
Let's
Dude, that is so. I feel the same thing. I've told my wife this a million times. It's just like, you believe in this more than I believe in this.
There you go.
And that gift where you're not weaponizing like the insecurities or just the like variable that is, you know, like it'd be ignorant to not say like, you could be working a 9 to 5. There are variables there that I will never understand. Like, it's not like we have an exceptionally hard life. We get the gift of coming home and being home all the time. Right. But like, our variables could be weaponized against us from especially your spouse going, oh, is it hard? Is it hard whiting songs up in your little whiting womb?
When people are cheering for you every night.
Yeah. Is that hard for you? So, but that's not a thing. Yeah. You know?
Well, and two, I think because on the surface it seems so self-serving. You know, it can feel like that's where our job is so different than everybody else. Is like we're going out talking about ourselves, singing about our life. People are cheering.
Right.
But it does have really unique you know, struggles that I think you have to have somebody with you that's 100%. Really on your team.
Yeah.
And that's beautifully said, Caleb. I mean, that is so true of Annie. I mean, I know of Annie. Like, just that when your wife is like, no, you are good at this. Yeah. Like, go do it. Like, do it. And you know, it's the best. It's like, I don't think about that enough.
Yeah. It's crazy how I can have those talks with Amy. And I almost, you know, at this point, I know what she's going to say. We've been through this talk, but somehow it works.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like she will give that encouragement. And a lot of times it is sort of that sort of like, no. This is.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Here we go.
You sit
You're
there.
Fine.
I sit
You're going to be fine. You don't really feel this way. You're not, you know, but I'm like, at the end of it, I'm like, yeah, you're right.
I think you still need it.
Somehow it works. And I'm almost like, why is this working? But it's working.
Yeah. Well, it's like liturgy in a way. Like, you go like, why do you listen to the same song more than once? It's like sometimes you need to hear that, you know? And it sometimes hits harder the 10th time.
Well, you know what? So speaking of the 10th time, what Andy and I sometimes happen is like I'll come in, you know, you've written this song, and you're like, oh, this is a good song. Hey, can I play this for you? And she'll come sit and she listens. She's like, yeah, it's good. And I'm like, oh, frickin' I knew it. I knew it. Is it the bridge? Because I feel like I'm losing on the bridge.
Oh,
that's
my
what
gosh.
There is, Amy and I have done this a million times. And I feel for her.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm almost like apologetic when I'm like, I have to play this for you. And she's like, there's not even a tightrope. There's just like a tightrope down on the ground. It's already fallen. There's nothing for me to. She could be like, I love it.
You're like, but you
and
don't.
Then, and I'm like, all right.
If you'd have cursed in front of love, if you'd have thrown a curse word in there.
No adjectives?
Oh. But you
just love it.
But you know where I was going with that is like, not just that. It's that Annie's like, yeah, it's good. And I'm like, okay, let's use like a number grid. But what she always says, and it melts me, because she sees me spelunking. I'm like, see you later, you know, jumping into the pit of insecurity. And she'll go, no, you're great at this. It's a great song. And it's just like, and I'm like, well, it looks like I'm climbing back out of the game. I'm ascending rapidly. Yeah. Because she's just it's so funny. She's like, you are good at this. It's what you do for a living. Yeah. People like it. What do you need? Like, and every now and then she'll be like, nah, that's not my favorite. But if it's not that, she's like, this is what happens. But when good people do things, is they make good things.
Yeah.
But
and
the
it's
truth
so
is,
black and white.
The truth of it is, it's because the only answer that will satisfy me right now is tears and how do you do it? That's the greatest song I've ever heard.
How do you do it?
I don't know how you do it.
I've known you for so long, and yet the question I ask myself every time.
And then the next time it'll have to be something great.
Yeah.
Because it'll be like, well, you did that last time.
Remember last time you cried?
How did you do it? That's good
disrobing
stuff,
would
man.
be amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so we thought. We're flipping the script for the end.
Oh, beauty.
We're gonna do a speed round of questions.
You guys are the first for this.
Yeah, you are the first.
But
it's also
thank you.
It's curtailed to you guys.
Oh,
So that's even more special.
that's good.
But I think regardless of the guest, we should ask them.
Oh my gosh, that's going to be our. These questions we're going to ask every guest that are for y'all.
Thank you.
They're like, I don't know that. I don't know that.
That's
I'm not in that band.
Pretty dumb.
Well, just if you were in that band. Let's just play the game. Okay,
Just
so
answer the
I'm going to
question.
ask the first one. Remember speed round.
Okay.
Take a second.
Yeah.
But, let's do
Are we
it. Don't
both
take too
answering?
much.
Yep.
The same
Each,
question.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, same question to both y'all.
If the whole world could listen to one Colony House song, what song would you choose?
I love you immediately. Like
Younger brother.
We'll say. That was a John question. I thought that was a great question.
Maybe Do You Ever Feel? I'll say that.
Yeah.
That's a hard one, though, man.
love
Let's
your
go with new record.
Look at the struggle that is happening.
I'll go Beautiful Life. Bad answer. Bad answer. But I got to stick to it.
I love that. Favorite song of your dad's?
Oh, gosh.
I think My Redeemer.
Great song. Beauty Will Rise.
What? Okay. What was? I'm gonna add. Sorry. Speed round still. Favorite song to play with him?
That's great.
Oh.
Beauty Will Rise was
That
one
was
of
a
my
very
favorite ones.
Great song to play, but I'll say Lord of the Dance was always.
Bro,
Yeah.
I was gonna answer that, and it's not even a question.
Just
man.
'cause
I've never
yeah,
played with
yeah.
your dad.
Just because when you're playing it, you're like, yeah, this is.
As a drummer,
This is different.
Yeah.
that song is fire.
Yeah.
To play on
And it's
drums
just
on.
crazy. Yeah.
That's like one, even my dad, who can't bring himself to say the word crap. He'll say crad, which
Yeah.
I love.
it's so good.
Even dad knows.
crad.
Even dad knows when he's playing, like, this is badass.
He's like, this crowd is awesome, guys.
Okay, worst live moment.
Oh,
This is John's. Every time we have a musician, he's like, I don't care about the other questions. Can we just ask for the words?
I could do a podcast
Just
spinoff
on just
on
worst
just
live.
worst live
Other-
moments.
yeah.
bro. I mean, a few come to mind.
we love this question.
I mean, I have a few for calling us, but the early days, one of the funniest. I mean, this was when we were before anything. We were a high school band. It's a great story though, because it's a great mom story as well.
Oh, dude.
And she.
I love you already know what
playing,
this is.
We're playing at Rocket Town, the OG Rocket
Oh,
Town.
dude.
Yeah.
And we're like,
First battle
and
of
it's
the bands.
it's a battle of the bands, and it's all metal bands, and then it's just us, like
The
sweet
white,
boys,
the white
like
Christian
Just the
boys.
two of you.
yeah. We had two other dudes in the band. Was it the following?
Yeah, it was the following.
So it's the following.
Okay.
And
Which sounds kind of like a metal band.
yeah, it kind of does. That's kind of why we liked it.
No,
probably.
it was the first. The reason we even were called the following is because I was filling out the Battle of the Bands form on Rocket Town.
Yeah, to have a
and I was
name.
like, Mom, we have to have a band name. And she's like, huh? We start throwing out. My dad's like, Following David, and I was like, Following David, Dad? Yeah, like a man after God's own heart. I was like, Dad. It's the worst stuff.
Crad, dude.
That's crad, Dad.
That's crap.
Just a bunch of
Oh,
crap.
my gosh.
And Mom was like, what about just like the following? And I was like, that's tight.
Thanks, Mom.
So
anyway, the following's playing, and we're ripping, and we're not a metal band. So these kids just in there are just, they're not loving it. They're hating it. And this like, kid just comes straight up to the front row, right in front of Caleb. Double birds right in his face. Like,
Bro,
I'm talking like
on a
a
1
foot
foot
away.
stage, so
a
it's
foot
just-
away. Just
Oh
a foot.
my
Just
God.
I could smell his
right
finger,
in his
dude.
face. Just, and we're playing, and we're like,
I'm shaking.
Oh, yeah.
I would be thinking,
Could you imagine,
how
like-
long is he going to commit to this?
and he committed.
The
I
whole
mean, like,
song?
it was like a song or two. Like,
Oh,
he was
my
just,
gosh.
And so
Oh,
my
the whole-
mom, this is why we love Mom. She's got the video camera out because it's first show, and she's there. So she makes her way through the crowd.
No. You forget. Dad went and he
Tried to-
talked to this kid first. Hey, can you please respect my boys? They're just trying to. He's having a mono conversation. This kid's like pretty much like.
Yeah.
Which they
Now
can
they're
have
you.
the conversation because the music's so soft.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. We were just
But the dude, yeah. So my mom, my mom watches this guy not do anything to that conversation, and so she walks through with the camera, acting like she's video camera.
Oh, my gosh.
And gets right behind him and just knees him as hard as she can.
brings him to his literally to his knees, and he's like, "Oh, jeez," and she's like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't see you there. I'm so sorry."
No.
Yeah, dude.
That's my mom for
And
you.
then he accepted Christ.
And then he accepted Christ that night.
On his knee.
Yeah.
I've never been so prostrate before.
But that's just a great live
Oh
moment.
my
Not a bad,
gosh.
like it's not as bad one, but I mean, it sucked for Caleb for sure, and all of us. But I'm thinking, do you have a good Colony House one?
Yeah. I mean, this one.
Sadness in that.
This one just was a tough moment. But just like I'm
trying to think of what you're coming.
Well,
up with.
I hesitate to say it, but it may, whatever.
It's so hard.
The first one
revisiting.
that came to mind, and it's maybe not that bad, but it's just like one of those Freudian slips where you're just like, I can't get that one back. And this was early on. I think this was maybe even pre-Colony House, but it was kind of the form. And it was at that weird transition where we're like, we're trying here to like still be the Christian kids. And my dad's giving us the platform and be like, y'all want to hear my boys play a song? And we're like, okay, here we are. So we're at like a big Christian music festival, playing as my dad's band, but we're starting to kind of make more of our own music. And like, not to like dog on the Christian world, we were raised by it, very grateful for it. The Christian industry, that is like, you have to tell your story.
Yeah.
If you want to resonate with Becky, you got to tell your story.
You got to say,
and so Dad passes the mic. I start talking about this song, "We Will Wait."
That's right.
And it's just like it's kind of a heavy song, and this is. We actually, my dad let us open the festival. Like, let us open the set, so it was actually a Caleb set, and this was the last song. And I'm known for a little bit of like, I can't quite get it out the way I want to say it. I'm uncomfortable. I'm awkward a little bit on stage. I've learned to, I think, lean into it and just be like, sorry, I'm awkward.
Yeah, here we
That was weird. And so I'm talking and I'm trying to land the plane. I've talked for too long already, and I'm like, you know what? At the end of the day, this is the last taste of Caleb we'd like to leave in your mouth. And I was like, what the? Why did I say that? Did I say that? And I remember I looked at Will, and he's his head straight down. And I looked at Scotty, and he was looking at me like, why'd you say that? And I was just like, that's tough, man.
Then you see Scott Sheriff, and he's going groove.
Yeah.
He's like, we're right on right now.
And then I was like, man, if I was going to get away with like that kind of Freudian slip, and we don't need to go into the like connotations, but like I was in a safe place, maybe. You know what I mean? Like, maybe that one did just fly by.
But dude, I'll never forget.
I just remember being like, I'm not supposed to be here.
That's amazing.
Man. And there's like,
dude.
that's like one of
Many.
so many.
Yeah,
Like,
y'all played way too long,
bro,
for there not to be a
at this point, like, you think about the worst thing that could go wrong at a show, and you're like,
Oh, yeah.
who cares?
Yeah.
Oh, the tracks are gonna go down. The whole rig's gonna catch on fire. And you're like, it's fine. It's fine.
we'll
Just
figure
stop
it
and be like, hey,
You know,
everyone
it
chill.
made me think. I'll quickly say it made me think, which we do need to do. That and you know this, I know this, y'all know this. That season of your career where you're just getting thrown on bills without any regard to if it makes sense are the darkest days of my career.
Yes, 100%.
Because like, you get. I mean, everybody has 100 of these, but you some venue would go, oh, we should have him come in and open for, and you'd get there and realize this is going to be the worst 30 minutes of my life.
Yeah.
Because
100%.
they thought, or either I had a good show there a couple weeks ago and like, oh, let's get him back in the market. And I can still so viscerally feel like as you're walking on stage going, I already want this to be over.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'm going to do my darndest here, but this is, those were dark days.
Hard.
And we've all played like we still have a feeling. Like the way it started was when the Colony House days was like, if we could play, if we could just get to 50 people.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like that was like, oh my gosh, we're going to be fine. And that's the way for maybe like almost 10 years, that's how I felt. I was like, 50 people doesn't feel that bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like we know what
What a
bad
great
feels like,
qualifier.
but it's not that bad. And now we're like, maybe we've bumped that up to like 500. Like we can play to 50 people and it's still fine. But if we could just just get to 500 people.
That feels great.
That's a win.
That feels great.
And I don't think people still come up to us and are like, dude, it's so cool that y'all would play in this venue. And we're like, I know. We're just, it's for the people.
Oh my God. We're
It's
so
like,
benevolent.
it's like,
We
it's
just love
like
people.
the intimate thing.
We
is
love
so
the intimate
cool.
thing.
And we're
It's
like,
so cool.
we're just trying to stay, like, keep it chill, keep it humble. And like,
Listen, if you want to somehow encourage and absolutely take my feet out from under me, it is this comment. Dude, I can't believe you're not bigger than you are. It is like, dude, that means a lot. And actually, I'm going to go cry in my park without the AC on.
Oh, yeah.
Just like
Or if they're like,
AC.
you know what? We loved the show, and I am so disappointed with the people in Buffalo. Like, they didn't show up. I'm sorry, but it was a great show.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Oh,
Yes.
dude. Yep.
Or when the people are like, you know, like, you never play Jacksonville. You should come play the whatever it's
Arena
called. Like,
Dome.
Arena Dome. We just saw you two there, and it's the sound is incredible. And you're like,
I need to
cool,
get my managers
okay.
on that. Yeah.
Okay, how do you spell
Or
that?
I mean,
Arena
you know,
Dome?
especially to John and my age. Now the worst is, I think, dude, I loved your stuff back in the day.
Yeah.
Dude, I love your first.
Oh,
record.
I'm currently writing a book on this. No, I'm not. But
It's called pain.
the idea of being, I've talked to my dad a lot about this, is being offended by your own work.
Oh my gosh! What a
And-
great way to put it.
Because we have our first album's called When I Was Younger, and still there, you know, the tried and trues are like nothing will ever touch that.
Yeah.
And on one hand, you can be so offended by like we have done better. We have done better now.
Yeah.
But we haven't to that nostalgic place in that
Yeah.
person's life,
Yeah.
and being like, hey, I did that too.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
be.
Yeah, yes.
Like
That's
I made
not
that.
another you. That's still you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I made that, and it's really important too.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
for this person. So
It
like,
took me forever to get there, though.
it's hard.
Like, you know, first record kind of in 07, and then probably, I don't know, like at least 10, 11 years for me to finally not be so offended when someone's like, play Industry.
Yeah.
Whereas for 11 years, I'd be like, dude, I've put out 3 albums since
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
Like,
Speaking of
you know,
industry, I've been industrious. I have a lot of songs.
Yeah.
You should say that. Actually, you
Yeah.
should say that. That's
Yeah,
good.
that's it.
Okay, one
Sorry.
more question.
Okay.
And look how we're going to wrap this up with the podcast.
Thank you.
One word to describe being a dad. Oh, can you do it? Can you do it?
Jiminy Bing Bong. That's not my word.
Bing bong.
Bing bong.
Bing Bong. Do y'all have your answers? Have y'all answered this
No,
question?
I did it. And mine was 2. John was like, "That's 2." I was like, "Okay." Getting a little judgy.
Oh man, I feel like I could think on that all day. And just
Right?
like, is that it? No. Is that the?
Okay, this is it's a little cheesy, but can I give the context of it?
Please.
I would say like purposeful would
Yeah.
maybe be a word, or
Yeah.
purpose or something in that world, because I remember playing a show. This was maybe, I think Noble had been born, but we were playing with this band. The band opening was a band called Deep Sea Diver from Seattle, and they're really cool band, and it's a husband-wife. The drummer is the husband, wife is the front woman, and this guy named Pete played the drums. Real tall, kind of like just the sweetest guy in the world, so nice. And I remember we played a really good show in Charlotte, and it was like we had hit our 500 mark. There were 500 people there, and I remember feeling like kind of bummed after the show. I don't know why. I was like, we played fine. The crowd was a little docile. Right word?
No, it's great.
Okay.
That's great.
And then I got off stage, and I was like, there's a good amount of people there. We kind of checked the boxes to be a successful show, and I feel less than. And I kind of was like moping, not like to myself, and Pete was like, hey, you good? And I just like, dude, I have this weird feeling. We've played this room to nobody. And that was like a decently full room. And I'm maybe more bummed this time than I was last time. Why? I don't understand. I'm not happy with that. And that's confusing to me.
Wow.
And he went in his thing where I didn't expect it just based off his personality. But he's like, I have dealt with depression for a long time and through like therapy and some of my dear friends kind of talking me through some of my darker days, something that really impacted me was the idea of purpose versus happiness, and looking for your purpose in something versus looking for happiness in something. And this isn't probably cutting edge in any, but it was for me. And he was just like, when I was looking for a way to make myself happy, or looking for something that would fulfill me on the happiness side of things, it always fell short. And then when I kind of like repositioned myself into looking for like purpose in something, purpose in what I'm doing, purpose in like everything fell into place in a different way, because happiness is just like one sliver of the purpose pie. Is kind of how he put it. And he was like, but also in that is struggle and toiling with your craft or with your relationships, but there's also joy inside of that, and there's also pain, and there's beautiful things, and but it all kind of makes what is your purpose. And I was like, dang,
jeez,
that helped me just kind of understand that when you're having those low moments, like whether it's like the post-tour depression thing where you're like, what do I do now? And or whatever, is just like, I don't feel happy right now. That doesn't mean there's not purpose to this season.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
And it kind of it was just a cool tool to have to refocus things. And that's what I feel like with being a dad. It's like, ultimately, when your kids get hurt, we talk about the best things and the worst things about parenting. Like, there is purpose to having to like watch your kid lose the game on a strikeout and then watch him cry because he understands the gravity of the situation. I lost it for my team. Well, no, you didn't. But that hurts you as a dad to like see that. But there's purpose in that moment to be able to be like, you're crying because you care. And that's really cool, buddy. Like, if you didn't care about that, it wouldn't mean anything. But like, when you care about something, you invest your heart and your soul and your spirit into it. And so when you don't meet the expectation, it doesn't mean you failed. Like, it just means you care. And that's a great place to be. Don't be bummed out by that feeling. Having to kind of remind myself of that.
Yeah,
it's
that's
like,
great.
There's even in the maybe the failures of being a father, is like, there's purpose there if I can kind of, I don't know.
Yeah,
see
no,
it
that's
that way.
great. I love that.
Isn't he great?
That's a great word. Just look at you guys.
This is why I just let him talk. I'm like,
Until
like,
something comes out that shouldn't.
I just want to leave.
until the song.
Honestly, this is the last. No, Ryan. No. Can't say it again. Can't say it again.
Oh man, that was good. That's very good. I'm still wrapping my head around it. I'll say grateful. I'll just say grateful. I'm grateful for an amazing family, amazing wife. Grateful for a healthy, amazing daughter. We've got another one on the way too.
Oh, congrats!
Yes,
Congrats.
a little boy too. So
Oh my
Nice.
gosh, party
so
time!
grateful just for an incredible family to get to always go home to and just be surrounded by and encouraged by and built up by. So I'll say grateful.
Well,
Nice.
what should I do here? What should I do here? Okay.
Okay, I'm watching.
You
guys
grateful.
are the
Oh.
best.
And
Five.
Wait, we are so grateful.
Seriously,
I just don't want to say anything because I don't want to.